Let me jump to the story from the New York Times. Alaska's voters will try out changes to primary and special elections. So they've got ranked choice voting. And, they say voters in Alaska on Tuesday will test for the first time a new ranked choice system for a general election in a special race for the state's single House seat. And they will take part in the state's new open primary system, which was first deployed during a special House primary in June. That combination right there sounds like let's put it this way.
We're not changing the elections. We're making it better.
They changed the rules. With open primaries, I think, are bad. I used to not understand why it mattered. Now I totally get it. Because Democrats can vote in the Republican primary to sabotage the Republican Party so that when it comes to the general, nobody wants to vote for the Republican. Like if the Democrats vote for Liz Cheney and she ends up winning, Republicans are going to be like, whatever. And then a Democrat wins Wyoming. That'd be crazy. Now we have ranked choice voting. I've been a fan of it for a while. But one thing interesting that comes up with the way they're doing it now to consider. It is widely believed, or actually Jack was mentioning it just before the show, that this is going to help Murkowski maintain her seat. Do you want to explain?
Right. Because in ranked choice voting, if someone doesn't break the threshold, then they start counting the second choice votes. And so this will end up, so if all of your MAGA vote, for example, is targeted to one candidate, and then they're never going to say the establishment candidate as number two, you will always see Democrats or soft conservatives, soft Republicans, your one of fours or even your four of fours who are more establishment types, they will put Murkowski as their second choice. So she'll pick up a wider swath of voters. Meanwhile, a MAGA conservative is never going to say they want a Democrat as their second choice.
But we're in a primary right now, so people aren't voting for Democrat; they're voting for just the Republicans. Wouldn't they just be more likely?
Does it only apply to the primary?
Well, no. But so here's my point. For now, wouldn't more people be like, okay, well, this candidate's not likely going to win, but they're my first pick, and then I guess if I had to take Murkowski as my fifth choice, I would. And I feel like in a primary, it's open primary, which is the biggest risk.
Right.
If you do ranked choice voting, yeah, you're going to get all the populists being like, man, I really would prefer this guy right here. They might think he's not going to win, so I can't vote for him. With ranked choice voting, they'll be like, I'll give him my first choice.
And look, Project Veritas and R.C. Maxwell, the great journalist over there, did a whole piece on this, how it was Murkowski staffers that actually left her campaign and then stood up this other organization to push through ranked choice voting because she, as a candidate, right, couldn't directly get behind it. And then after it went in, they went back to the campaign.
So the idea is in the general election, what'll happen is Republicans will say, I guess I'll vote for Murkowski, and my second choice are going to be these other, candidates, write-ins, or maybe, MAGA people. But the Democrats will put Murkowski as their fifth choice.
Right.
So when all of their people lose, if Murkowski's in the lead, she's going to get all the Democrat votes along with the establishment votes. So it makes it impossible for the Republicans to get in populists, basically.
Look, and I've said this before, and I don't think Yang has it right. If you're going to start a third party, a real third party in this country, you have to do it within the party structure that's already existing. And there is a third party in this country, and it's called MAGA. That is a third party. It just happens to be inside the Republican Party.
Yeah. I mean, you've got the left Bernie party or whatever inside the Democrat Party.
And one of the things that's happening across the country in the Republican Party is there are so many new people getting involved. Homemakers and small business people that are deciding.
Precinct Project.
The Precinct Project, that's absolutely right. And small groups picking up Patriot Moms, Voices of Washington County or Voices of this county. People are getting involved and they are going to school board meetings, but many are deciding to run for these obscure offices because they all matter. And that's the building block of that future party, Jack.
Yeah.
And these are almost all very conservative, principled, valued people that supported Donald Trump.
When people get into local offices like you're talking about, is it the kind of thing where they have to quit their day gig?
Not
or
usually.
Can they? Not usually.
Not usually, not for local offices.
So how does that work, right? So you just won the primary for county commissioner, is that right?
Yes, and I'm going up against a Democrat in the fall. And if I do get elected in the fall, technically it's a part-time job, but it's a full-time demanding job if you're going to do your job correctly. It does pay a salary of about $38,000 a year, but you're voting and managing a budget of nearly $800 million across the board for the county.
Wow.
So it takes a full-time effort to go to meetings, to go to commissions. There's a couple dozen commissions that are, elderly commission, there's the women's commission, there's zoning, water commissions, those things that you have to be aware of what's going on. And lots of issues are coming forward.
And you're trying to get the job to manage $800 million for a $38,000 salary. This is the challenge of politics right now. That is an insane. I could not imagine trying to manage a budget like that, and you effectively have to do it for free. You have to really, really want that job.
You got to care about your county, your hometown, the future of your kids.
Yeah.
Or throw it away and just make sure that some of that millions goes to people you know. I mean,
I was
downside.
just going to say that yeah, you're exactly right. That on the flip side of this, for people that aren't maybe already independently wealthy or have a stable career outside of this, that's where bribery and that's where money comes in, because they'll say, hey, sign off on the zoning board for us. This happened in my hometown with we lost a golf course out to a hospital that nobody wanted, and this wasn't county level, this was township level. And the company went in and just bankrolled a couple of Democrats that would vote for the hospital, and then got them on board. Boom, golf course gone, hospital in, there you go. And that's it. That's the way the system works.
I remember when I was younger, I noticed that all these skate parks that were popping up were garbage, just like the worst. And I just didn't understand why. I was like, why are they so bad? Because the X Games, they obviously have good ramps. Why aren't those companies making it?
Yeah.
There was a community meeting in one of the neighborhoods where a local construction company was like, it's going to cost $500,000 to build this park. And then, as the story goes, some guy grabbed his phone and put on speaker one of the big top tier companies that makes all the big parks, and they said, we can do this for 100. That's ridiculous. But the city still went with the guy who said 500. What I was told was that in many of these circumstances in the city, the people who build skate parks have no idea how to build them, but they're the lobbyists. They're the companies that fund the local politicians. So when they call up and say, look, I need a favor. You got the budget to build it. We can build it. Go with us. We support you. Say, okay, fine. What's the harm? It's a construction company. They know how to build a skate park. We'll go with them. They're here anyway. Then what happens? They don't know how to build a park. Skate parks are very specific, and you get dangerous garbage parks. And you're wondering why. Man, I got to tell you, they built this one park that they built the dimensions of the bowl wrong. So a bowl is like a pool, right? You've got multiple, transition ramps that go around an edge, and they built them so compact and tight. One guy, I remember I was skating, did not know it was built wrong. And if you've been skating, most ramps usually are built correctly, so you just ride around and you know how to make your moves. And he went up to carve between these two walls, and they were built like a 90, like it was like a wall. And he slammed into it, bashed his skull, and was left bloody on the ground. Oh. That is because, and this is what I'm told, the city decided to go with a crony over an actual construction company. That's what happens with cronyism.
You're saying regarding cronyism, so they'll say a corporation will be like, we're going to fund these Democrats to make sure that our skate park gets built. So if you were the county commissioner, would there be other people on the commission with you voting?
It's a 5-person commission. And it's a majority vote that will make the determination on a budget or an issue of a purchase for the sheriff's department, like new equipment, or for the fire department, because it's fire and rescue, EMS, sheriff's department. Those are all under the county.
And your role will be one of 5, basically?
One of 5.
So how does that work when people vote? Like, it says vote for 5 county commissioners, and there's a big list?
Right.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yep. All
right, well, good luck. So you're not just up against one Democrat, then, are you?
No, there's multiple Democrats. So and you're up, in some ways you could say you're up against other Republicans,
right?
Because it's a food fight at that point.
So what is it, top 5?
It's a top 5, and in Washington County, Tim, as you know, it's a heavily Republican. It was a Trump county by about 61%.
MAGA country.
Yep. Yeah. And we've got people that really care about their county and the future here, and we've got a great slate of good candidates across the board.
But then I just remember from back home, my county was do you have to have a certain number of minority seats?
No, there is no requirement for any identity politics.
And I'm pretty sure Washington County sent a letter requesting to secede from Maryland to join West Virginia.
Yes, they did.
What's the percentage chance?
Yes, Tim, that letter was sent and received.
Is that actually on the table? Is that
I mean, it was like 3 counties, right? Western
Right,
Maryland.
Well, I find that the succession idea to be a major distraction from our ability to actually work on the hard issues that we have an opportunity to make progress on.
But did you see the district change with the new census?
Yes.
They by cutting out basically what was it? They had the Frederick suburbs in the Western Maryland congressional district.
Well, the congressional district for Western Maryland is the 6th congressional district, and we got David Trone running against Neil Parrott for the congressional seat here. And by the way, David Trone does not live within the district.
That's right.
Okay,
and you're allowed to do that?
You're allowed to do that here. Okay, and the other issue is, the gerrymandering was challenged in court, and it came out a little bit better for Republicans because of the court cases brought by Neil Parrott and others. So, but we do have.
It's like a Republican district now. It wasn't.
No, it's still a majority Democrat district
wow.
because we've got parts of the D.C. suburbs as part of this district that represents all the way out to the very end of Western Maryland.
Wow, really?
So, very dissimilar areas.
Wow, this is CD Maryland.
6.
CD6 Maryland 6th congressional district. Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
It's D+1. Wow, that's crazy.
But
And
it's a
this
much better opportunity, and it is looked at as a very competitive race that the Republicans can flip this year.
Oh, wait. Oh, it's changed. It's still D+1, but moving forward, they've included Frederick in. Oh, wow. That's just crazy to me. I mean, you've got people who live in the panhandle of Maryland who are, it's MAGA country. Yeah. I go driving out there. It is all MAGA country. It's basically West Virginia. It's rural, yet they are in what's basically a D.C. suburb.
We've got Montgomery County as part of this
Yep.
district. So.
Wow.
You guys mentioned
That's
MAGA
massive.
multiple times today. The word MAGA has come up, and Jack even mentioned earlier that it was that's Jack's back
MAGA.
too. Yeah, that there is a third political party in the United States. It's MAGA, but it's just in the Republican Party. So why don't they break ranks and start another political party called MAGA?
And just why would they?
Because the reason I've heard in the past is because they need the money. They need that Republican money. But no, they don't. They need fame. They need popularity. So why don't
it's
they?
infrastructure.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
It's the infrastructure of 9,000 different municipalities across the entire country
To do what exactly?
that do everything that he's talking about from the ground up.
It's county commission, not county commissioners, but Washington County in Maryland. You've got a central committee, Republicans that help organize, recruit, develop precinct captains, recruit precinct leaders, to register voters. All of that infrastructure is gradually being taken over by MAGA.
Yes.
So if I went to a county,
I'm sorry.
Yes, we're doing that
I have
right
to
now.
issue a correction. It's nuclear ultra MAGA.
Yes.
Ultra,
Yeah.
ultra MAGA. Thank you.
Nuclear
With
ultra
the
MAGA.
glasses.
Wait.
with the side infusion of extremist rosary.
That's right.
Yeah.
Of course. yes.
Not just the rosary, but the
Infused.
Gadsden flag and
yeah,
Betsy
yeah,
Ross
yeah,
flag.
The Gonzalez flag.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if I went to a
I
county,
love that story, by the way. The story of the Gonzalez flag.
That's crazy.
You know what the story is?
I looked it up.
It was the colony of Gonzalez. They had they requested armaments. They got one cannon, and then the Mexican colonels or whatever showed up and said, "Give us your cannon." And they were like, "No, come and take it." And they held up a flag with their one little cannon on it, like, "Come
Drew a
and take
picture
it."
of it. I
It's
love it.
amazing.
So great.
That's all it was.
if I went to a county with my Gadsden flag wrapped around me, and I was like, "I'm an ultra MAGA nuclear candidate. I want to run." They'd be like, "We don't have the infrastructure for you because it's all Republican." Like, what
Yes.
would be the difference exactly? Like, how would I have a hard time getting on the ballot? What would be different? Because I'm making YouTube videos. I got 100 million people that follow me on YouTube.
Do you remember when we talked with the Mises Caucus guys and they're talking about the Libertarian Party and the pragmatists, and then the Mises guys come in, basically took the party over? You've got a party. There are people in it who have ideals. So basically, what ends up happening is there's a monopoly on the political infrastructure between Democrats and Republicans, and it's going to be impossible for you to compete with you're trying to open a coffee shop next to a Starbucks. Good luck, bro. They can subsidize everything. Democrats can take money from wealthy districts, send it over to your district, and flood the zone so you can't possibly win. Unless you've got a comparably large. So instead of opening a coffee shop, you franchise a coffee bean to open up next to Starbucks. And you got to give some of your profits. And so, but now you're going to do things the way you want to do
But
them.
it's all money. It's all money. So
It's not just money. It's
But
infrastructure.
it's also because the United States has a winner-take-all system and not proportional representation.
right.
And so this is why you see more multi-party coalitions in Europe or just different parts of the world that have proportional representation, because then you can have if a certain amount of people in the country vote for that party, then they can get on the ballot. That's closer to what you're talking about.
So Ian, it's actually really, really simple. There is a third party, the way Jack describes it. But what happens is you've got Republicans. Republicans overwhelmingly share similar values. One day someone comes up and says, hey, we all kind of agree that immigration is an issue. Why don't we put that on our agenda list to fix the border? Establishment Republicans are like, no, that's bad for my lobbyists. It's bad for my corporate donors or whatever, or I don't agree with it. But one day you wake up to find that 60% of your party agrees we should secure the border. All of a sudden now you're seeing a change of the candidate's style and the way they talk and the ideas they promote, because they have a higher priority on issues that their party already kind of cares
Is that
about.
like, are they getting marching orders? They're like, hey, now 60% of the head of the RNC wants this, so then they send.
It's also new generation. A new generation entered the Republican Party, and if you look at someone like me, I didn't vote for Trump in 2016. I voted in 2020. But I came from the internet position of like the hacker culture and freedom and liberty and anarchy and things like that. So when you're getting all these Ron Paul young people that grew up on the internet, they're not going to be Democrats. They're going to be Republicans. And then when they start running, you'll see a Ron DeSantis and the party starts changing.
And if you go back historically, just for comparison purposes, in the late 1950s and early 60s, the Republican Party, after Eisenhower, went into the dark ages, and minority in the House of Representatives. We had Democratic presidents, but we had a revolution within the Republican Party. It started with conservative writers and thinkers. It led to Barry Goldwater running. He lost really badly, but it provided the seed corn for what became Ronald Reagan and the Ronald Reagan Revolution. It took 20 years, but they took over the party from the establishment. We're going through the same metamorphosis here, in my judgment.
Well, keep in mind that people always talk about, the Barry Goldwater getting blown out, but that's also because that was 1 year after the JFK assassination. And I think that had a lot more to do with it than any specific ideology.
Thanks for checking out this segment from the Timcast IRL podcast. But if you want to check out the full show live, tune in Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. And if you want more special access content, head over to timcast.com and become a member. Your membership helps sustain this company, keep our journalists employed, makes this show happen, and you will get access to exclusive members-only segments of the Timcast IRL podcast, and there's a massive library to check out. So again, go to timcast.com or tune in Monday through Friday at 8 p.m., and we'll see you all there.